What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see our daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and turn the notification bell if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Now, if you can tell, I finally have my headphones. I'm not using the one earbud because my headphones are broken. And that means that I'm finally going to be able to fully set up the TTB Gaming channel, which if you want to hear more about that, make sure to come to the Live with the Viewers tomorrow. We're going to talk all about it. It's going to be a lot of fun, but make sure to come tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time, TTB Live with the Viewers. And if you want to be a part of that stream, you can email trustthebank@gmail.com. Let me know that you want to be a part of the stream. I can get you a spot. I can get you in. And, we're just going to have a good time like we always do with the Live with the Viewers. But getting into this video, it was something that I didn't really think would happen whatsoever. I'm pretty sure I said it in multiple videos. However, there was a particular thing that I'd never considered, which is pretty dumb on my part. I apologize. I didn't even think about it. But, when I talk about, Rashad Bateman, I talked about Hollywood Brown, I've talked about Sammy Watkins and doing statistical predictions for them. Joshua and I will definitely be doing that in the future, like giving our full yardage and things like that. However, it was like, oh, the Ravens, they just don't throw the ball enough to get a 1,000-yard receiver. Marquise Brown has been their closest guy recently. He only had like 760 yards last year. Like those types of things, like you're not going to be able to get a 1,000-yard receiver. However, I completely blanked on the idea that there are now 17 games in an NFL season, which means that single season yardage markers are going to be significantly easier to reach. The best comparison for this would be back in, I believe it was 1973. The first player to ever break 2,000 yards in a season happened. It was O.J. Simpson. He ran for like 2,000, like barely over 2,000 yards, like 2,006 yards. That was in a 14-game season, and he did that. And now it's like there's been 8 players to eclipse the 2,000-yard mark. Derrick Henry is one of those guys who did it last year. And that's something where it's like, okay, well, now there's going to be 17 games. Hitting 2,000 yards, yes, it'll still be difficult. Hitting a 1,000-yard season, hitting a 4,000-yard passing season, hitting a 5,000-yard passing season, yeah, they'll still be tough, but it'll be less impressive. Particularly with the upper echelons of the levels, like the 5,000-yard seasons, the 2,000-yard rushing seasons. I don't know, the 1,500-yard receiving seasons. Nobody's ever going to get a 15,000-yard receiving season. That's going to be impossible. But overall, you look at what they're doing, and you look at how much easier that's going to be. Adding another game allows for just more yards, and that's going to make it so that 1,000 yards, it's not going to be as impressive. However, I do think that the Ravens will definitely have one. Now, I could not tell you whether or not it's going to be Sammy Watkins, Rashad Bateman, or Hollywood Brown. I will say I don't think it'll be Rashad Bateman. However, if I had to pick, I would say that it would be Hollywood Brown because he does have the best chemistry with Lamar Jackson, and having chemistry with your quarterback is the biggest thing, especially at the beginning of the season. Now, predicting who the wide receiver won at week 17, it could very well be Rashad Bateman. He could come in, he could dominate. Honestly, I hope it's Rashad Bateman by week 17. However, week 1, Lamar's going to trust his guys, and his guy is going to be Hollywood Brown. It always has been ever since Hollywood was drafted, which was Lamar Jackson's rookie year of actually being able to start the full season. And Lamar was able to really trust on him and count on him, and they've got great chemistry. Now, Lamar's best throws have pretty much all been to Hollywood Brown. Think about it. Now, the first game Lamar started in his rookie year, his second season, was the massive touchdown to Hollywood Brown where he beat Minkah Fitzpatrick on the post drop. Boom. Week 2, Lamar Jackson threw, in my opinion, the best throw of his career when he threw the game sealing over the shoulder pass to Hollywood Brown against the Arizona Cardinals. Fantastic throw. You could think about the throw against the Dallas Cowboys, hitting Hollywood in the corner of the end zone. You could think about the touchdown he threw to Hollywood against the Jets. A lot of really, really good throws that have come out. And then there's a lot of non-touchdowns that are still great throws to Hollywood. The deep ball against Cleveland, deep ball against Cincinnati, those types of things. He has that chemistry. He has that faith. And now that, especially now that we have T. Martin and Keith Williams, who will be able to hopefully help Greg Roman in the play design of passing concepts and things like that, that'll allow Hollywood to have better routes. so that when he runs a double move and he cooks the defender, there isn't another player in that area, not allowing Lamar to throw the football, which happened on a plethora of occasions for the Ravens. Whether it was Mark Andrews just like running a streak out of the tight end spot, hurting Hollywood's chances to get open and things like that. Like, now we're going to be able to have better passing schemes. And honestly, we have better supporting cast, because you think about adding a Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins, I guess you could say, is replacing the Willie Snead on the offense. And then you could say that, Rashad Bateman is replacing whoever you want to say was the number 2 wide receiver last year. I guess you could say Miles Boykin. Wow, the Ravens receivers just not that good. It's kind of crazy. But those are massive upgrades, meaning that the defenses will have to recognize that those are massive upgrades. So they will have to focus more on Sammy and Rashad, which allows Hollywood to get open even more. Because think about last year, if you're a defensive coordinator, if you were going out there and you're playing the Ravens and you see, there's 3 wide receivers on the field, you're not going to care who you have guarding Willie Snead or who you have guarding Miles Boykin. No disrespect to those guys, but they're very good. They are very good football players in the grand scheme of things, but for NFL wide receivers, they're significantly below average. Defensive coordinators are going to look at Hollywood and they're like, oh, wow, Hollywood's good. He's fast. Well, let's just put 2 guys on him and then boom, it's going to negate him completely, which is what happened a lot of the times. Now that's not going to be able to be possible. So that's going to allow Hollywood to be better, and that's going to allow Hollywood to help the other guys be a lot better. And those types of things are what's going to help the Ravens to have a 1,000-yard wide receiver. I'm a bit scared to say Sammy Watkins could be a 1,000-yard wide receiver. I think he could. The only issue is whether or not he can stay healthy. If he stays healthy, I think absolutely he could be the 1,000-yard wide receiver rather than Hollywood. However, it's just one of those things where he's been injured a lot of his career and just misses a fair amount of games. So he could have like a 13 or 14 game season, and that would have to be a very impressive season for him to hit 1,000 yards. Rashad Bateman. Now, Rashad Bateman may be the most talented receiver on the Ravens roster. However, it's one of those things where he is not going to be able to get opportunities as early because he won't have that chemistry with Lamar. And he may have some chemistry, but it's just difficult. When Hollywood was drafted, the Ravens had no good wide receivers. They had like Willie Snead and Seth Roberts were like the wide receivers when Hollywood was drafted. But Hollywood was like wide receiver 3 on the depth chart. He was wide receiver 3. Even in week 1 when he had, the first 2 receptions of his career combined for like 120 yards and 2 touchdowns, he still wasn't wide receiver 1 after that. Like it took like 4 or 5 weeks before it was like, oh wow, they're really using Hollywood all the time. That'll probably happen with Rashad Bateman again. And that's just what happens with rookie wide receivers. It takes a little bit longer unless they're coming in with a rookie quarterback, because then it's not like the quarterback has already created relationships with the other wide receivers. But Lamar's not a rookie. And Lamar already has great chemistry with Mark Andrews. He's got great chemistry with Nick Boyle. He's got great chemistry with Gus. He's got great chemistry with Hollywood. So it's going to be difficult for him to, catch up with the rest of those guys. And it's kind of the same thing that we saw with Duvernay and James Prochet last year, where, they really weren't utilizing the passing offense, especially Duvernay. He actually ended up getting used. But at the beginning of the year, he wasn't used because he didn't have the chemistry. Now, it does hurt not having the training camp and things like that, but overall, having chemistry with your quarterback really helps. So I'm not saying I don't think Rashad Bateman's going to be able to get to 1,000 yards. However, I do think a Ravens wide receiver should very well be getting to 1,000 yards. I think it'll be Hollywood because he has less injury history than Sammy Watkins. He's got more chemistry with Lamar, and I think right now he's probably the better wide receiver. Just because he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL when it comes to generating separation and creating space. The issue is that defensive coordinators honestly can put 3 guys on Hollywood and they could have stopped the Ravens offenses, or at least passing offenses in the last 3 seasons, or last 2 seasons that Hollywood has been playing. Now they're not going to be able to do that anymore. So that's going to allow Hollywood to absolutely go on a tear. But let me know in the comment section down below what you think could happen in terms of the Ravens having a 1,000-yard wide receiver. How much of an impact does the 17-game season have? Because it's going to make a lot of records get broken. And that's sad. However, getting to watch 17 games of football makes it a lot more entertaining for the fans. So what do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comment section down below. Come to the Live with the Viewers tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time, tomorrow being Saturday, and I will see all of you again tomorrow.